In total, it may be just under 500 in total up until now. So the numbers in the very first year were very minimum, and then we picked to about 279, and this year we just maybe under 200. If anything, it may be just pretty near 600 for the past 3.5 years that we've been involved with this program.
Does this number increasing?
Yearly, the number has not been increasing, no. So in other words, this year there may be a drop. It changes. So for example, in the second year of the program, it was more from the Middle East, and now China seems to have taken over in regard to being the number one spot. Well, firstly, there are two processes. You're first granted citizenship, and then the issuance of passport is not within our domain. The issuance of passport is with the Immigration Department. So let's speak about the grant of citizenship. Legislatively, we say 90 days, but we've been working very hard on our processing platform, making it as efficient as we possibly can. But also there is several partners who are involved in that process, and we've been able to manage that relationship. So now on an average, we're able to provide citizenship somewhere around 54 to 56 days. The rejection rate is less than 1%. So yes, so it is low. And again, it's based on the numbers that we have as well. It's a correlation there, but the rejection rates are low. I think the competitive edge of this program, unfortunately, is really one of price. So if you compare us with the other islands, we're a lot more competitive with the donation route of grant of citizenship, which is just $100,000 US, and that is equivalent to Dominica's own as well. So in regard to price, yes. But in regard to the broader picture of not just the program, but the country, I think we do have some distinctive advantages. St. Lucia is a very tourist-focused jurisdiction. Tourism is our number one foreign exchange earner. We have enormous airlifts through North America and through Europe. We have daily flights out of London into St. Lucia. We have a very interesting mix of hotels and industries in St. Lucia. We have both an international financial services sector and a domestic financial services sector, where the issues of tax optimization can take place on the international financial services sector. So, and then in regard to ease of doing business, we were ranked number 2 in the Caribbean. So truly, outside of the issue of pricing, and if one looks at the country as a whole, St. Lucia does have a lot to offer, and therefore, even in regard to its infrastructure, its road network, it has some of the distinct competitive edge that we may have, and that we ought to sell in regard to the program. So you're right, we have those various routes to citizenship is the largest. But unfortunately, we only just went into the real estate route. So more than 90% of our applications, 99% of our applications are coming from donations. The other route that has been utilized, but not very large, it's just a very minute percentage, is the bond. So real estate, we are hoping that with the 2 approved real estate projects that are open for investments. Already, yes. We're hoping those 2 projects can hopefully drive numbers during this year and hopefully the greater part of next year. The real estate route for the grant of citizenship has always been within the legislative framework. But one of the things about the real estate route to grant of citizenship, if this is not managed correctly, if there is not a proper framework to manage the proceeds of those funds, then those programs can run into challenges. And St. Lucia, therefore, took some time to develop what I believe is a really well-structured framework to manage the real estate route. But yes, you're right that the real estate route has been on the books, and it's only now that we are embarking on going to that route in a very tangible way by saying that it is now open for investments. There are no shares. So you buy into separate units and you own those separate units. And then you retain those units for 5 years, and then you make the option as to resell if you so wish. And then the investors do get citizenship. So that's what drives it, essentially. Hopefully there can be a secondary market by which persons can sell those titles. And maybe the developers themselves may want to decide to buy into those units. But time will tell. We've just started this process, so we'll see exactly where it goes. Well, you know, St. Lucia is one of the members of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. It's a small, developing island. Its main economy, its main foreign exchange earner, is tourism. This region, unfortunately, is subjected to hurricane seasons. And if there is, God forbid, there's a major hurricane season, a hurricane hits this region, then it can bring the tourism industry to a halt. And therefore, this region, unlike St. Lucia, has to find other ways in which it can sustain its economy. And that's why the CIP programs become such a meaningful component. The economy is stable. I think the government is doing its utmost to ensure that the economy grows, and the government has to look at other avenues as a means of ensuring that this is sustainable. You know, interestingly, and it's a question I'm always asked. The primary reason that those programs are even so popular is not so much that persons want to leave the country and reside in St. Lucia. That's not a primary reason. The primary reason is that St. Lucia, like the rest of the Oasis Islands, offer those individuals a visa-free platform to many countries in this world. And therefore, because of the status of those persons' individual passports, they may not have that international mobility, and that our passports give them that greater international mobility. And therefore, those individuals are simply interested in being able to have that freedom to visit countries, to undertake commerce in those countries, but not necessarily to pack up their lives and come to St. Lucia. But the truth is, there may be one or two who may see the need to come here physically and to set up a home. And we welcome this. But I think predominantly the majority of persons who we grant citizenship to don't have an interest to making St. Lucia their home. But it can become a very useful matter for them as life goes on. Well, first, I think it's important that we understand that the Citizenship by Investment program is not a residency program, so the issue of tax status is not really a matter. It is only when that citizen decide to make St. Lucia their home, then the issue of tax comes into play. The issue of where you domicile and the length of time you remain in this country will determine your tax status, unlike the residency program. So that's not an issue for us when it comes to a Citizenship by Investment program. When someone makes the decision to apply for citizenship in regard to St. Lucia, and their focus is beyond that of international mobility, but really to make this country their home, a place where they can bring up the kids in a safe environment, where they can ensure that there is a good educational platform, then St. Lucia does provide this. You must also know that we have nurtured 2 Nobel laureates in this country. It's the greatest number of Nobel laureates per capita in the world. So for a country with only 170,000 people, could nurture 2 Nobel laureates speaks volume for our educational structure and a commitment to education in this country. The health services, as you know, health services are always challenging for every single country. But in this country, we have a public hospital and we have a private hospital. So for those who can afford a private hospital, will go to the private hospital. So I think for those who want to make this country their home, I think this country provides them with enormous benefits. Its climate is one of those attractions as well. the level of security and peace is another great asset as well. So for those who want to make it their home, these are some of the interesting things. And those who are very business oriented or business minded, it's the right time to come to this country, because this country has an enormous fiscal program or regime in regard to tax holidays, in regard to being able to import equipment and goods and services without any duties being applied. So in addition to the tax issue, there's a wonderful fiscal regime that the government of St. Lucia provides to even those persons who may decide to come here and to have a business focus. It's interesting that you say this, because we're just about to go to Parliament with some, what I believe will be some interesting amendments to legislation. You would appreciate that I can't speak about them, because you never know how it goes. So I would first want to give the parliamentarians opportunity to discuss those amendments before I can discuss it publicly. But I believe that those amendments that we've made will drive business, because some of those issues are issues that the market has been saying that you need to change. You need to make some amendments. So we've listened to the market and we're making some of those amendments. But what I can say to you, those amendments will not relate to any reduction in pricing. I think we must find more ingenious ways to do this than to simply reduce pricing. I think if you ask me about the future, I think about the future primarily on the issue of the viabilities of this program. And therefore the future must be one where there has to be collaboration and harmonization of our practices and our policies and our legislation on our applications. So the future for me in regard to this program has to be based on a platform of viability. And the pillars for that viability of that platform has to be the islands coming together and creating some form of harmonization, because I don't believe that this program can be sustainable with the way that it's been done right now. Even in regard to simple things like, it may appear to be simple, but it's so important, the sharing of information. So if one applicant is denied in St. Lucia, surely Dominica should know about it. Surely Grenada should know about it and St. Kitts. But individually, they'll make their own decisions. But at least they need to have that information and understand why this person was denied. And therefore, I believe the future for me has to be one where the islands must come together in some way or the other to deal with some of the issues which can destroy this industry and which can shorten the life of this industry. The heads of the OECS islands have given the mandate to the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank and the OECS Commission, Secretariat, and CIPA, which is the various heads of the various OECS islands who are involved in this program, to start the discussion and to start the process for some form of harmonization. And in regard to CIPA, to which I'm the chairman, we have started discussions and we have undertaken some steps. It may be baby steps, but I think they are steps that are going to lead us to that platform of harmonization. If I'm going to advise any applicant who's going to apply to St. Lucia Citizenship, I first want to say to them that this program is quite meaningful for St. Lucia. It is meaningful for St. Lucia for several reasons. The primary reason is for its economic development. However, St. Lucia also believes very strongly that the persons who are granted citizenship, who are of good character, who deserve to be granted St. Lucia citizenship. And this is absolutely paramount for this island. So the issue of due diligence is paramount for us. So I have this saying that if you believe that there's skeletons in your closets and you don't want those closets, you don't want those skeletons to be uncovered, then St. Lucia citizenship is not for you. So I think the message I want to say there is that this program is quite meaningful for St. Lucia. We want this program to grow, but we're also interested in getting the best people to apply and to be granted and to be honored with such a citizenship or passport at the end of the day.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.